Wow, look at this group. How was last night? Just the fact that no one can actually muster enough energy to applaud for yourselves tells me everything I need to know. Well, welcome this morning. Yesterday, instead of the chili cook-off, which I somehow missed, and the Zumba, which I really wanted to go to, but couldn't bring myself to, I'm walking down the hallway, and EJ and Dave from Bright Roll say, "Hey, we're going to the Alamo in a limo. Al's limo. You want to go?" I'm like, "Al's limo to the Alamo with beers? Yeah, I'll go." So we get to the Alamo, and you know, this town is famous for the Alamo, really. You know, that's what it's about. It's a symbol of the thing, symbol of Texas. First of all, the story you learned in 6th grade about the Alamo, not exactly the way it's. You should ask them. I'm not even going to get into it because apparently people have fistfights if you tell them the wrong story. So, of course, the next thing I did was go directly to the gift shop, as you can tell, because I wanted a gift. Now, some of my childhood heroes, because I'm a TV generation person, and it wasn't called video then, it was called TV, were Jim Bowie, not David Bowie, and Davy Crockett, both of whom perished at the Alamo. Now, when I was here in 6th grade, we got rubber band guns that looked like the rifles they used. We got raccoon caps that they wore. You got plastic Bowie knives, and I had this entire vision when they said, "You want to go to the Alamo?" of coming back here completely loaded up with my rubber band guns to shoot at you guys and have my plastic Bowie knife and a really cool raccoon cap, and I could do my whole Davy Crockett, Jim Bowie thing. But as it turns out, none of those gifts are politically correct, and in 2012, they no longer exist. What they did have was this hat in pink with the brown lettering, and if this didn't work for you, then you could get it in brown with pink lettering. And I just thought, well, I'm in touch with my sexuality. I can sport this hat. This is the Bright Roll Alamo gift with purchase. Thank you, EJ and Dave, and thank you to Bright Roll for their gracious beers and this lovely cap. You can visit me at Shelly Palmer, Facebook, if you go to facebook.com/Shelly Palmer Digital Living, you get to see some pictures of the crowd we were going with. I may have to give this away just as a, sort of souvenir because I'm not 100% sure. Well, it's a good story to tell. Anyway. A couple things. You can follow me and like me and do all of those things, and when you're tweeting, that's all good. I'm kind of wondering what the value of a Twitter follower is, what the value of a Facebook like is, or a Facebook friend. And I think that's something that we don't really talk about. It's both a medium and a metric, like Google. Everybody talks about wanting more of them. Stars base their lives on them. I wrote an article at shellypalmer.com a couple weeks ago about TWAM. That's Twitter spam, and the kind of ridiculous followers that have no followers, tweet a lot, use your name and torture you. I think this needs a little more attention than a lot of people are giving it. And certainly I have all of the CFOs in my clients' worlds and all of the marketers asking that question. I'm not going to actually offer up an answer or even pretend to offer up an answer. I'm just going to simply say that that's a great question to ask. What's the value of a follower on Twitter? What's the value of a like on Facebook? And don't ask someone from Facebook or Twitter because they have a different answer than the one you probably want to find. Just saying. It comes down to, obviously, that there are now 4 kinds of media that we did not discuss yesterday, but we should discuss a little bit today amongst ourselves. Obviously, there's paid and free media, which have been around since the dawn of media, but there's also owned and earned, and people paid homage to it a little bit yesterday. We didn't really get into what owned and earned media means. So let's talk for a second about the only thing that was completely missing from yesterday's conversation and the only thing that matters: consumers. I hear anybody talk about consumers. I heard viewers, I heard users, I heard all kinds of ways to describe them as things, but consumers. It's 2012, and we are frighteningly close to the end of the transition from the industrial age to the information age. Some people use a catchphrase, the world of big data. I hear that a lot. What does big data really mean? Can anybody tell me the definition of a terabyte? How many bytes is it? Someone scream it out. Trillion bytes. What's the next guy up from terabyte? Anybody? Petabyte. What's the next? And what is that? How much bigger is that? One more time. Scream it out. 1,000 times. After petabyte, what's next? Exabyte. How much bigger than that? 1,000 times. In 2003, according to Mark Darcy at Facebook, during the year, humanity created an exabyte of data. The previous 3,500 years, humanity had created 2 exabytes of data. This year, 2012, this is a Facebook stat I got at a meeting the other day, we create 2 exabytes of data every 3 days. That is a good definition of the world of big data. Big, lots of, tons of data. Now, information is not knowledge, and we should not be confused. Just because you know something doesn't mean it's contextualized or valuable to you. And I don't have time to go into the difference between information and knowledge, but I would beg you to think of this as not a semantic argument, but an argument that matters to how you make business decisions, and think about it. What I heard yesterday a lot of were people using video and analogies to television to solve a 20th century problem with 21st century solutions. I thought this was probably wrong. In the world of big data, data matters. Databases matter. Privacy matters. We talked a lot about things that people do yesterday while watching TV, but not the people. We talked about behaviors. We left out the most important set of behaviors that are going to change, and we actually left out why it's going to change. Economic success is directly equated to the speed of information from the very dawn of history. The speed of information is directly equated to economic success. A 4G device is 6 to 10 times faster than a 3G device, which means the data will travel 6 to 10 times faster. There's another thing that's interesting in our world. It's called the asymmetry of knowledge. And if you're a student of economics, you know that when you go to buy something, the seller knows more than you do. Even in your own world, if you sell media, you know more about what you're selling and your pricing and the price structure than the buyer does. When the asymmetry of knowledge is equalized, where you have price transparency, life gets really, really tough. Now, in a 4G world where people have basically in their pockets this level of computer or the next level of computer, where literally they have access to more information, as I said yesterday, today, in their hand than the President of the United States had when he came into office from all 17 security agencies. And this is only going to increase because we're making exabytes of data available every day. What's the retail business going to look like when the asymmetry of knowledge is put in peril? When price transparency is everywhere? When everyone has the same amount of information that they can contextualize as everyone else. Now, it's not going to happen uniformly. It's not going to happen all at once. It's going to be lumpy. But the people with the most money and the most skill who buy the most are going to have it first. And so the impact is going to be greatest early. Again, just talking about video communication in that world seems to be looking and measuring it, seems to be trying to solve a 20th century problem with a 21st century solution. In the world of big data, data matters. So what data you can gather, and not about how people view, and not about what their preferences are, the people. How many people can tell me the size of the diaper business in the United States of America? Raise your hand if you know how big the industry selling diapers is. It's $4.6 billion. That's a lot of poo. As it turns out, over 10% of that marketplace is by subscription now. And you know what the advertisers figured out? Once they have the email address of a woman who's pregnant or has just given birth, they really don't need to advertise. They just need to do what they do with email. They have a direct relationship with the customer. There are people who are projecting a 35% subscription basis for diapers by the end of 2015. 35% of a supermarket item sold by subscription through places like diapers.com and Amazon. The growth rate is ridiculous. Go look at micro-targeted retail sites. And tell me how the day of any retailer is going to change when the top 10% of their most affluent customers don't have to come to the store and have no reason to visit their particular website. Will video help them sell more stuff? Will video help the manufacturers sell more stuff? What's the role of video in communication in the world of big data? It's an interesting question. I have my own opinions about it, but my opinions don't matter. Your opinions matter because you're the architects of the future, not me. You're the people who are making video. You're the people who are making communication different in the 21st century. You're the ones who are talking about what it means to watch something on the best available screen. But you can't look at this the old way. And for anybody, again, who says that the TV business is imperiled is smoking dope. I don't have a TV client who's not making more money this year than they ever made in their lives. It's a good year, which makes it hard to have a conversation about what this business should evolve into. But this is an ecoscience problem. This is not a linear problem. It's an exponential problem. And what's going to happen is, by the time you realize what's going on, it's going to bite you in the butt hard. So my suggestion is that we start asking some questions that may include how do we move money from television, the platform, to video, the platform. Because TV, the art form, or video communication is robust and fine. But making money still is kind of a magical thing. That translation of value into wealth, making valuable videos are, again, super easy, but getting paid for them, kind of hard. The last thing I want to leave, and I should just say that video, just to put not too fine a point on it, is not in a vacuum. It just doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's one way we communicate. It's not the only way. In the few minutes I have left, I'd like to talk to you about a couple things. If you just put my regular slide up with my stuff on it, please, it would be very helpful to me. Thank you. First of all, if you're wearing a white badge today, that means you're selling something. So if someone comes at you with a white badge, understand the asymmetry of knowledge is perfect in your favor. They're selling. Now, guys, if you're wearing a white badge, look for someone with a blue badge because they're buyers. So then you have an absolutely perfect use of the asymmetry of knowledge. And if you're wearing a green badge, apparently you're very creative and don't care about money. That's what it says here. I'm just very creative, doesn't care about money. Good. Today I'd like us to think hard about what we're trying to accomplish, what the future should look like, what you want to invent, how you want to make it happen. Because you guys only get together once in a little while, and there's some super smart people in this room, and you should really leverage that. So if you come back in this room a couple times today, do me a favor, sit with someone you haven't met yet, because it would be awesome if everybody got to meet everybody. Last thing I want to leave you with in the 2 minutes I have left before we introduce the panel is a personal thing. It's completely personal. And I'm going to ask for your help. And I really have never, ever done this, but I'm going to do it today because it's an important cause. A year ago yesterday, my then 2.5, now 3.5-year-old granddaughter was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, pediatric pancreatic cancer called pancreatoblastoma. And we were very lucky. It was caught in a wellness visit. She had surgery 5 days later and a couple rounds of chemo, and she is now, I'm happy to report, 1 year cancer-free. The people at Memorial Sloan Kettering Pediatric Hospital on 68th Street in New York City are magical. I can't describe them any other way. And the work they do there is unbelievable, and the people are unbelievable. And there is a website cleverly called emmazinberg.com. I need that slide up if you could get that for me. That's my granddaughter's name. emmazinberg.com will take you to a wonderful charity called Kids Walk for Kids with Cancer that me and my family are doing on May 12th. If you happen to be in New York City on May 12th, a Saturday at 1:30 in the afternoon, you meet us at Central Park, come and walk with us. But if you can't come and walk with us, that's cool. Go to emmazinberg.com from your handheld right now, make the biggest donation you can possibly make. 100% of the proceeds, 100% of the proceeds go to pediatric research, not a nickel for administration, not a nickel for overhead, directly Memorial Sloan Pediatric Center, where they're doing some of the most important work in the world. Again, I know that's a little bit of a buzzkill to start, but as far as I'm concerned, I can't think of a better cause or a more worthy group of people than the people on the 9th floor at Memorial Sloan. So thank you very much for that. Now, let's talk about media. No, seriously, I just really appreciate it. Oh, of course, while you're there, you could tweet about me because that's really nice, or you could like me, and then we'll try to figure out what the value of liking me or tweeting about me is, and you could tell me if it's valuable or not, later.